The following is a Just Green production brought to you by the Might Be News Network.
What's up, everybody? It's the week of May 13th, 2019. I am Taylor Cooper, and this is Might Be Sports. It's also my first show of the week, so that's kind of crazy. I feel weird and out of place. With me, as always, Kevin Reevy. What up, Reevy?
Wednesday for you, Taco Tuesday for us.
What up, CJ?
How's it going?
And Andrew DeCecco with us again this week. Season 2, Episode 3 of Might Be Sports. We got a lot of stuff going on. Kevin Reevy, you are pushing a book. Andrew DeCecco, you are writing for Eagles Wire.
Mm-hmm.
CJ, you're my spiritual guru.
Thank you.
Two books.
You got a bunch of stuff
Not to
going
be
on.
arrogant, but
Let's start off with what you guys are doing.
One of them is going to be pissed.
Let's start off with what you guys are doing. You've got 2 books going on. Tell us about it real quick. Do your pre-show plugs.
All right, real quick, if you want to check out the best baseball book in the country, if everyone says so themselves, it's Incredible Baseball Stats version 2, forward by Lance McCullers and Wade Boggs. Check that out on theacesbaiter.com, and just released the new This Day in Philadelphia Sports, forwards by Charlie Emanuel and Gritty, the Flyers mascot. I think it's his first long
That's out
form.
now? That's out now?
Out now.
Oh.
So check that out. Signings coming up, but just go on Amazon. They're cool books.
That's awesome.
That's all I got.
Andrew, what have you been writing about recently? You've been
so on the Eagles Wire, I got everything draft related. I got mini camps, rookie mini camps, exclusive Q&As with some of these undrafted players. I got you covered, all things Eagles.
Where can I, because we don't cover this every week, where can people find you guys on Twitter? I know you guys are bigger on Twitter than I don't participate in Twitter all that much.
You can find me at DeCecco NFL, ADICECCO NFL.
You're at 76-pack, correct?
76-pack.
I knew it.
You know how that originally started? It was supposed to be me and my buddy Mike Kirk, who's like on Twitter somewhere at Magic Mike Kirk or something. He was like a wannabe DJ way back in the day, and his DJ name was Magic Mike before the movie came out, so it's kind of funny now. But of course, he spelled magic with an MAJIK.
Ugh.
So yeah, it's awful. But so the whole what I'm trying to get to is we started a podcast about 5 years ago called the 76-Pack Podcast.
Ah.
And that's how I got around to having that Twitter handle, but
no disrespect.
Yeah,
this is a much better show.
It was not good. We wanted to be a 76ers centric podcast and do all the things that what's the local one doing? What's that one called? The rights to Ricky Sanchez.
Oh yeah.
We were a little before that.
Okay.
But it was like when literally like their best player was Ricky Sanchez at the time. So
wow.
It's not good.
I feel like we've been talking about the Sixers a lot. So we're almost like a Sixers-centric podcast at this point. Before I get in on the Sixers, I just want to say mbnnetwork.com. It's never been easier for you to find your new favorite podcast. Go do it. Check it out. There's all kinds of stuff. We got a new episode of Foundation Radio, episode 0, tomorrow. This is their reunion show at the University of Westchester, and it's going to be the last show before their first unedited, censored show on the Might Be News Network. Stay tuned for all that. We also got more info on the Patreon stuff. This is most likely going to be the last week that we do our episodes. We're going to do longer episodes coming up here soon. So got more information on that coming up. So stay tuned next week. The page is ready, but we're just going to get everything. We're just going to start it all at the same time. So stay tuned. Probably next week. Anyway, Sixers. I want to talk Sixers. I want to talk some NBA playoffs. But before we talk about the semifinals, we got to talk about the way that the Sixers season ended. We talked a lot about how, of course, we've talked about Ben Simmons. We talked about his lack of a jump shot. We've talked about Joel Embiid's health or lack thereof, whatever, dependability. we've talked about Jimmy Butler and the free agency bonanza that is about to happen right now. The season for the Sixers ended on Sunday in a gut-wrenching fashion. The double doink came back to bite Philadelphia big time with the Sixers and Kawhi Leonard with a long two game winner double doink. It might have even been a triple doink. It was a doinker. And Drake's very happy, which makes me very upset. And more so than anything, the Sixers season is over. What were you guys thinking watching that game?
That was a top 5 dagger for me. It was right up there with the Eagles when they lost to Tampa Bay.
Big. Reevy.
See, all right, I have a confession to make.
You didn't watch the game.
I watched the game. There was times where I was doing laundry, but I still had it on my phone. YouTube TV is amazing.
It is. Yeah, it's cool.
Really great. So I was just taking it with me as I was doing stuff. But I will admit, at the end, I'm like, just lose. One, because they're not good enough. They have all the talent, but they're just not there. And it's just this weird thing where, like, none of them look like they're really trying hard enough besides the guys that weren't already, that weren't here before. Like, Jimmy Butler, fantastic.
Yeah. Throughout the playoffs.
Right.
Throughout.
And I just felt like Embiid is not doing the things he needs to do to be a great player consistently.
Right.
Ben Simmons, obviously, he just kind of, disappears at times in the biggest games in the playoffs. So towards the end, I'm like, Game of Thrones is on right now.
Oh, jeez.
Let me tell you something.
And I just didn't want to, it didn't seem like it was going to add up to anything. What does it all add up to? A loss in the next round, a loss in it would have been fun. A loss in the finals would have been fun, but it would not end in a championship. There's no way.
Yeah.
Embiid was a shell of his regular season self. How can we possibly win with him like that? That was bad.
The 3 of the final 5 possessions that the Sixers had ended in 2 of them ended in shot clock violations, and one of them was a near shot clock violation that was basically a block shot because it was just thrown up by I forget who. But
it was piss poor execution.
It was the end of that fucking game. They had no idea what they were doing, and they were totally out of timeouts. Also, it didn't look like anybody wanted the ball. Nobody wanted to shoot the ball. That's why the shot clock violations happen.
And when does it fall on the coach? Like, what does
all of that had?
Everyone's defending Brett Brown right now,
right?
But at what point? Like, what does he do? Like, what's his job responsibility? What does he get credit or discredit for? Because if it's not that, then what is it? And I don't know. I don't really understand. I mean, obviously they're talking about him. He's coming back.
Yeah,
next year he got the vote of confidence and all that. But everyone's talking about how, the Sixers lost to the better team. Really? What? Well, they did, but part of the team is the coach. I wonder if Toronto had the better coach team, because you go player for player for each team, and all the talk about how deep Toronto is, bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, total bullshit. Toronto is not that talented.
If Kawhi Leonard got hurt in any game,
it's over.
They're done. They're done. It's over.
It's Kawhi Leonard, and it's a bunch of guys that. Yeah. I mean,
Ibaka really rose to the occasion in Game 7.
It's a bunch of those kinds of guys.
Right.
But I mean, Kyle Lowry is a guy historically who disappears in the playoffs. So he's not exactly a guy you can totally count on.
And he hit big shots in Game 7.
But at the same time, he hasn't taken over any games as far as I can tell this entire playoff. So it's the team that's not that talented as far as I can tell. And they're running into a team in the Bucks that have like the perfect storm. They have guys that come together as a team. They have maybe one superstar, possibly 2. They have 2 all-stars this season, but not a very big name. Like, they do not have a big 3, but they're well coached. It's a team that's been together a little while. I like that team. The Sixers don't have a team. They don't have a coach bringing these guys together. And I thought for years that would be their advantage because these players have played together for a while.
But it did speak volumes that you hear guys that may not even be coming back, like Jimmy Butler, speak on Brett Brown. And, pretty much everybody. You didn't hear anybody utter anything or kind of even give you body language or anything like that.
But is that a bad sign too? I mean, I know, I think all of us can relate to, having a boss that was really, easy. And
Yeah.
I mean, for my job in sales, like if I have a boss that's really easy on me, I kind of know in the back of my mind, shit, this won't be the best thing for me.
Right.
I need one that's kind of going to be a hard ass, going to ride me a little bit because I need that push. If you got every player on their team saying he's the best, we love Coach Brown, all this stuff, maybe that's not the best thing. Maybe it's not what this young team needs.
They say that about Doug Peterson as well. Everybody likes Doug.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
The player's coach, I guess.
Yeah.
And that being said, there's no coach where players are going to say, oh, can't stand him.
Right.
But I wonder if, just thought about this now. I just said our advantage for years was we had guys, for better or worse, came up together, played together, and learned to play as a team. This is the first year where they started sending those guys out and bringing in guys like, Tobias Harris, Jimmy Butler, into major minutes. Well, like 35 minutes a game for each player, probably per game.
Yeah, 45 for Embiid in Game 7.
Yep.
So once you start to break that up in that way, you lose that team chemistry aspect,
Right.
which I've always said in basketball is so undervalued. If you're going to have like a money ball kind of, thing in basketball, it's going to be that. It's going to be players that play together. Because you look at the Olympics, guys play together for years. How are they so competitive with these dream teams, quote unquote dream teams that the U.S. puts together? How is it possible? Because they play together as a team.
Right.
And it's insane that like there were dream teams that lost, that got like bronzes. I mean, there might have been a year where they didn't, medal at all. I'm not sure. And you lost like Argentina. How is that possible when like their best player was like a bench guy on the Spurs?
Look at the Eagles' dream team in 2012. How are they so terrible?
Yeah, that's
they had everybody.
Right.
Football for sure. You need to get guys together that work together for a long time and build that team chemistry. I wonder if that's kind of like the special sauce the Sixers didn't take into consideration.
Now, you asked a question a couple minutes ago about what is Brett Brown's responsibility and what part of the downfall, essentially, of the Sixers, what part of that is his responsibility? And my answer is all of it. If you're the coach, I mean, this is all on Brett Brown. As much as I like Brett Brown, I like the way he talks, I like the way he communicates with the players, I like the way that the players respect him, all of those things.
You like the way he talks?
I like the way that he talks at the press conferences and stuff. I like the way he does it.
He talks a little bit like he doesn't know what he's doing.
I mean, kind of.
Just like totally superficially, entirely. He sounds like he's kind of dumb.
But he sounds like, I can see what you're saying, but he sounds like I'm sitting down having like a beer with him. Like it's a comfortable
Charlie
conversation.
Manuel was the same way.
Right. Yes.
He's got that quality.
It's like, what is he talking about? But
it can work.
It can work. Now, like, I think that he's well respected in the locker room, which is a good thing. I need more of that halftime game 2 of the Nets series next season. I need more of that aggressive yelling at the players in the locker room at halftime. He's got to hold Ben Simmons accountable for why he doesn't have a jump shot. If you respect respect Brett Brown so much, get that fucking jump shot going. Joel Embiid, if you respect Brett Brown so much, stop drinking 4 milkshakes for dinner or whatever it was. I don't know. I wasn't all that enthused.
But how else are you going to wash down that Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches without a milkshake?
Elton Brand said today that he didn't hear about all that at the press conference.
And Simmons,
are you kidding me, Elton Brand?
Well, why is he going to work on a jump shop? He has Hollywood parties to go to.
Dude, it's got to happen. It's got to happen.
One thing I'll say is that loss, I think that's going to wake a lot of those guys up. You could see they realize, oh, this is what we worked for, and now we don't have this anymore. We've been working since September, for this goal. And now, if we're lucky, it'll be a year until we get to this point again.
Right. No,
So that's why
Go ahead.
I don't know when you can, re-sign Butler, but if I'm the Sixers right now,
Has to be done today.
it has to
Today.
be done.
Should have been done yesterday.
Whenever
Yeah.
the first day is, it has to be that day. And there has to be a conversation with Butler saying, we need you to be our LeBron.
Yep.
Like the guy that tells the rest of the team, hey, I'm the leader now. I'm the highest paid player. I'm going to be here for a long time. Don't waste my time.
Fall in line.
Do this. Because
Yep.
I'm a little worried. Like right now, who's the leader on the team?
You
There
need,
isn't
you
one.
need to keep Jimmy Butler
It's
in the house.
Embiid. It's Embiid right now.
Because Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons might be sitting on a couch somewhere saying like, all right, that really sucked. We're going to work hard next year. But, we worked hard this year. So, we'll take a month off.
Right.
We'll party. We'll see how that goes. Maybe we'll take 2 months off. We're young. We can show up late.
Because
It's
what
fine.
in the NBA, because of the collective bargaining agreement, like nobody at the Sixers can tell Ben Simmons what to do officially, starting basically now until they report for whatever happens
Right.
preseason.
I'm-
So like they can't
yeah.
just be like, oh, here, Ben Simmons, here's a shooting coach that you have to go see. They can't tell him that because he could tell them to go fuck themselves.
But it did look like he had his tail between his legs a little bit in that last game when you see Jimmy Butler kind of
Sure.
handling the ball. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
because-
So I think right there he's going to be like, okay, this is kind of embarrassing on this stage. Everybody's seeing this. I need to fix something. I hope.
If he could have took a 5-foot jumper in that fourth quarter and made it overtime, if he could have made 2 5-foot jumpers in that game, we won. That's it. It doesn't, there's nothing else besides that. The fact that he doesn't shoot is selfish. It's selfish. He doesn't want to miss. He doesn't want to look like an idiot. Guess what? You look like an idiot. You're the only player on the court that won't shoot the ball. You've got big men shooting threes on both sides of the ball. But our point guard doesn't shoot the ball. All he does is lay up. And Toronto had 2 people surrounding the hoop the entire game.
Yeah.
He can't penetrate that. He can't do what he did in game 6 in that situation.
So let me ask
And
you
that's
this.
exactly what Boston did last season to end our season.
If you guys had your choice of who you can have back, dream scenario,
Yeah.
pick, let's say 3 guys. I'm going Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, and my guy Mike Scott. What do you guys say?
I
love
like
Mike
that.
Scott.
I like that list.
So is Mike Scott a free agent?
Yeah.
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 I think he adds a lot to the team,
I like Mike
personality-wise. And
I'm not going to pay a lot for Mike Scott.
you're not going to have to.
No, no.
I mean, ideally, he's not going to cost that much at
He's
all.
not going to cost
I don't know.
anything.
If you're asking me if I would give Jimmy Butler the max, everything that he wants, everything that we can give him, the Sixers can give him. Absolutely. Give
there's-
everything you can
So,
to Jimmy Butler.
so JJ Redick's probably gone, I assume. He's going to be a free agent.
There's a bunch of issues there. I mean, you know what? Let me just say this real quick. Chris Broussard on ESPN, it might have been ESPN, maybe on Fox, maybe on FS1, he was
yeah,
saying
he's
it,
the FS guy.
where he was saying he likes the trade of, and I know Chris Broussard listens to this podcast religiously,
Yeah.
so I'm
He was
calling you
tweeting
out.
about it.
I'm calling you out,
Hi, Chris.
CB. He suggested a trade of Ben Simmons for Chris Paul.
I saw that.
And at what point, like, that's so disrespectful to Philadelphia as like, so now is the NBA just going to be like 6 teams, like LA, Houston, maybe the Knicks might crack that at some point. And like, I don't know, Dallas, Golden State, just the teams, like 6 teams everyone cares about, and that's it. Because that trade, that tells me, all right, he doesn't give a shit about Philly. He's trying to make another team better in his mind. This, journalist that's not supposed to have any slant.
Right.
How in the world, like, does it make any sense on the planet at all to trade Ben Simmons for Chris Paul, who is a shadow of his former self?
Right.
33 years old, I think 13 years in the league, statistically had his 3rd worst season only because his first 2, he came into the league at like 19, 20 years old.
Some Philly guy, I don't know his name. I heard it on the radio this morning. He threw out the idea of trading Ben Simmons for LeBron James.
Now,
what?
that makes way
That
more
makes
sense
sense.
than
I've
heard a
Chris
couple
Paul.
things
that makes sense. I mean, to
Because
win, to
LeBron
win now,
James
yeah.
is still a huge draw.
Yeah.
One of the greatest players of all time,
Agreed.
top 2 or 3 guaranteed.
Yeah.
And he's got a few good years left. Chris Paul, he's 33. He's going to be out of the league in 2 years max.
And there's a lot of guys that don't get along with Chris Paul around
Agreed,
the NBA.
I'm not a Chris Paul fan.
No, me either.
I wasn't impressed with him, what he did last year. And it was just he had a bad year.
Yeah.
A flat out, and because he's been in the league a long time.
See, I'm not on
He's done.
the trade Ben Simmons wagon at
Me
the
either.
moment. But if he comes back next season without his jump shot, I'm there.
Yeah, because you would have given it enough time.
There's more than enough time. I get it. If you're not going to do it in your rookie season, fine. That's fine. Whatever. Second season, especially if you make it to the second round of the playoffs, come on, man. Third season,
He got
you better
exposed a little
have
bit,
that shit.
and people were talking about it incessantly. So maybe now he's like, all right, I got to get this together.
Once it wasn't the local squad of broadcasters covering the games. Once it went to the national stage, those national commentators were busting his balls.
And you see the memes
Each
on
game.
Twitter and
Oh,
everything.
yeah. Each game.
There was
Every
a
game.
meme where it said like Ben Simmons decides to be an astronaut instead of take a 3.
For real.
Yeah.
Like, come on. He's got to do it. Because if players on defense are scared that he's going to shoot the ball, they're going to leave the rim. And then he can do whatever he wants from there. Whatever he wants. Instead of just one thing. Moving on to the NBA playoffs. The 4 teams that are left, as we're recording, Golden State and Portland are getting ready to start their series in Golden State. The clear-cut favorite for this series is obviously Golden State, but they are playing at least the first game and possibly first 2 games without KD. I kind of think that if Portland doesn't win tonight in Golden State, that they're going to lose in probably 5 or 6 games. What do you guys think?
I think that's a fair assumption.
What do you think? Kev?
I mean, right now, I think Golden State is going to be, they lose Kevin Durant. Not that big a deal, I don't think.
For a couple games, I think they're saying.
Yeah, yeah.
And, I mean, especially, that's the thing, too. When you get Kevin Durant back, if he's not Kevin Durant, does he help you more than hurt? When Joel Embiid was sick, did he really help the Sixers in their, the 30-something point loss? Like, how much of
Because you feel like the offense has to go through him, so you're force-feeding him.
right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's going to be that great once he comes back. Maybe it's just a wash. I'm not sure. But whatever. They're still a great team, with or without him. So you got to love him going forward. And it doesn't feel like there's like a huge roadblock for them. Maybe the Bucks really are that good. Maybe this like team mentality that I was talking about is going to, work going forward. Maybe the big 3 thing is dead.
Could be. Because of the chemistry thing that we were talking about.
Right. I mean, that could be the thing. And I've always talked about it. How, it's not a joke how maybe the best college team in the country could beat the worst NBA team.
Yeah.
It's a possibility because these are guys that are playing together every day. A lot of times they play together for years, and you don't have that on some of these really bad NBA teams. They're just a random collection of guys that are just filling the spots, filling the roles until they can tank enough to play the lottery and bring in a superstar. It's weird, but I think that's the next, Moneyball thing in sports. In the NBA, if you can bring a team together that play together for years, they're just okay players with one superstar driving it. I think that works. I think it's always worked, but nobody wants to do it.
Yeah, the NBA is a little bit behind the curve. You see that so often in the NFL with the New England Patriots and the Eagles in 2017 when they won the Super Bowl. I mean, how many stars did they have, really?
Yeah.
You started Torrey Smith. You signed Alshon, but you look at your running backs. They were all like jettisoned from other teams, like Garrett Blount, Jay Ajayi. They're guys that nobody wanted.
I think that I agree. I agree completely with what you're saying, but I think that something that would add to what you're saying is to have that team of mediocre players, as you're saying, with one All-Star, that has to include the bench. Like, you have to have a really strong bench presence. Yeah, because one of the biggest things is you look at the bench of what the Sixers were doing in the beginning of the season. Next to nothing.
Yeah. that's
Then you
not-
add like a Mike Scott. You add shit. I forget a couple of the other guys' names that were in there towards the end. But
James Ennis.
Yeah, Ennis. Ennis was great.
Yeah, he
towards the end of
killed
the
it,
season.
man.
I mean,
I was really
and
impressed.
you look at it, and that stuff becomes really, really important. But so pretty much everybody at the table agrees that Golden State's going to win this series against Portland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems that way, but I mean, all right. So now to contradict myself, Portland at the same time is also that team,
They're a sleeper pick.
just kind of a lesser version. They've got a lot of guys that played together a while.
I mean, they were in the number 3 seed, correct? I think number 3 seed, and nobody was talking about them. Like, I mean, I don't here. I mean, I'm sure people were talking about them in the West, but like, I didn't see any real like Portland Trailblazer highlights this season on ESPN
They're
in
just
the afternoon.
Yeah, they have zero experience in this position.
Right.
I can't remember the last time they were in the Western Conference Finals. I don't know if that's been in like
think
my
they said
lifetime.
I don't know. That's been a thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Toronto versus Milwaukee.
I like Milwaukee.
Me too.
Milwaukee for the same reasons. I think they got a bunch of guys playing together for a while with that one superstar that makes it all work.
I'll tell you.
I think they win in 5.
I think they win in 5. I think Toronto might even get lucky to win one, to be honest with you.
Because Kawhi can't do it all. Eventually, that's going to come back and get him.
I think Giannis, and I'm not like a huge Giannis fan. He seems like a really nice guy. I don't like him when he plays the Sixers for sure. Because he's one of those guys that'll sit there and talk shit on Ben Simmons the entire game. And I don't get down with that. I can talk shit on Ben Simmons. I don't like when Giannis does because that shit's dumb. Anyway, he if there's one player in the entire league that made a incredible transformation, it was him. You look at like his rookie year, the pictures of him, real skinny, real lanky. And now he's just a pure specimen. I mean, this guy transformed himself to become better at what he does.
I respect that.
I respect that so
And it's
much.
crazy because he eats like 6 Chick-fil-A sandwiches at lunch and like 3 milkshakes. Same exact diet as
You
Joel
got the,
Embiid.
I was going to say, you got the
But for
wrong
some
guy.
reason, it's just wait.
The metabolism.
He doesn't do that?
No.
I thought they all did that.
I don't know what he does, but he does whatever he's doing it right.
There's a reason he took his game to the next level.
He's clear-cut MVP this year to me.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people were saying Harden. I think it's Giannis. And, I mean, best record in the league. That's not a coincidence to me. That's not a coincidence. I mean, that guy has been trashing people all season. You watch him just back people into the paint. Joel Embiid's not doing that to that level. I mean, that kind of transformation, that's what I want to see Joel Embiid do. I would love it if Embiid came back next season with some fucking muscle. You know, just throwing people around.
And you want to give him that benefit of the doubt.
That he can do it.
Yeah.
I know he can do it. He's just got to do it. That's it. And one more thing before we take break, and speaking of Joel Embiid and doing that, after the game, after they lost, some people were making a big deal. He was crying in the tunnel on his way back to the locker room. Very, very emotional. Not used to seeing Joel Embiid like that. Some people probably saw that as a sign of weakness. Me personally, I'm taking it as a hopeful motivational tool for him. That you could see that the pain was physically real for him.
Yeah.
It wasn't like last year where they lost and they just got our number and that was it.
Yeah. Anybody making
He was
fun of
very upset.
Yeah, anybody making fun of Embiid for showing emotion like that has never played a competitive sport in their life. They don't know what it feels like to put everything into something and then realize you came up short. You know, a lot goes into it that a lot of people don't realize. And I think part of it had to do with him realizing, hey, you know, I could have done more.
Right.
But he needs to
Like you
actually
said.
realize that they lost because of him. If
I
you're gonna
think that
single
was
out
part of
one
it.
guy, it's because of him.
Yeah.
And even that last game, I don't know what his end stats were, but I was watching the game and he was kind of a non-factor.
Yeah.
There was a lot of talk about Game 6 where he was a plus 40
Yeah.
And people were saying, well, is Embiid back? And the players were like scoffing at it. Well, he was a plus 40, right? Oh, so he happened to be on the court while other players were playing well? Oh,
Right.
cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't think
Is
he
this
was
the guy?
right. I just don't think. I think he was a little off. Something wasn't right.
Have we ever talked about, Shaq's plus minus,
Right,
about,
right.
David Robbins, like big guys, Hakeem Olajuwon's plus minus. Well, yeah, he didn't, he was
Right.
plus 40, man. He had a
Right.
great game. No, that's an excuse. He's supposed to be, he declares himself one of the best players, if not the best player in the NBA. Prove it. And on the biggest stage, he had every opportunity in the world. And at the end, what the hell happened?
Right.
His body gave out on him. If that's the case, he needs to do better. That's
needs to
the
do
part
better.
where he failed himself.
I agree. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some Eagles signings with Andrew, and we're going to do rapid fire and all new go to the week. We'll be right back after this. More Might Be Sports.
Loud, brash, controversial, and now completely uncensored. Foundation Radio is joining the Might Be News Network. Foundation Radio, exclusively on the Might Be News Network podcast. Just search Might Be News Network to listen and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, and everywhere podcasts are found. New episodes every other Thursday.
Welcome back to Might Be Sports. Excuse me, I'm Taylor Cooper. Kevin Reevey, CJ, and Andrew are here with me. Hey, real quick, shout out to Steve from Might Be Brews for producing Might Be News and Relatable Radio this week for me while I was in North Carolina over the weekend. He did a fantastic job, and it was very nice knowing that when I left, things still got done. So it was great.
We don't need you.
Yeah, I mean that's the general consensus on the earlier shows. They don't need me. They don't want me. You know what? I don't think I need them either. And I think I'm just going to be exclusive to this show from now on. Major news here at the Might Be News.
Breaking news.
Yeah, sweet.
I'm only on this show from now on.
I like it.
No, but thank you, Steve. I'm going to get everybody back on track next week. They all seem to have fun while like the teacher was out. It was like Steve was like the cool uncle, that you could do like whatever you wanted to. Like Might Be News. I don't know if you guys listen to Might Be News, but they literally sampled every show this week. They talked relatable stuff. They talked a bunch of sports. They talked a bunch of beer, like brews. They talked a bunch. They spread it out. It was totally not my normal formula, and it hurt me to listen to.
Got to rein it back in.
Yeah, got to bring everybody back in. But anyway, it was a great time. Great week.
Well, just wait till we get to my go to the week. All right,
God.
because it's
Off the rails.
it might be sports, but that's a stretch.
That's all right. So we kind of teased it in the beginning here. We got some Eagles signings. Andrew, you follow the Eagles closer than anybody that I know. Point blank, period. And I'm very, very excited to have you on this team with us this year because I'm really excited for the Eagles this year. I think that I think I saw recently that they had the number 3 ranked offense
Yeah.
in the league, which is very exciting to me, obviously, as long as Carson Wentz stays healthy. But I'm really excited for what you're going to bring to the table this season, just in pure knowledge of everything.
Timeout.
Go ahead.
You have a breaking news soundbite?
No.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
So, the Pelicans will have the number 1 pick in the 2019 NBA draft. And obviously, they're going to take Zion Williamson. Just saying, real quick, don't want to, interject too much here, but just real quick, very interesting. Do you think this is going to mean that Anthony Davis resigns?
I don't know.
That's weird. What were their odds?
I don't know.
Couldn't have
Look,
been that great.
It wasn't that great.
So I'm thinking,
maybe they got it through a trade because if Sacramento would have won, the Sixers would have gotten it.
that's correct. So I mean, it could be one of those scenarios. But
They had a 6% chance of winning the number 1 pick.
really,
Yeah, 6%
that's
chance.
crazy.
They had a 26% percent chance to get in the top 4.
And that's wild because the last few years, the number one team, the highest percentage team, had been taking it. But there was Kyrie Irving's year. I think that was the year, maybe something like that. I think the percentage for the Cavs at the time was like 0.8, and they just came out with it. So, I mean, you never know. It could go any way. These odds are insane, but very interesting now that they re-sign Anthony Davis.
I would say F
done.
the Lakers at that point. I would try to stay, but does New Orleans want him now? I'm sure they do.
Maybe now the Pelicans are like, you know what? You didn't want us? Fuck you. Because we got a guy to replace you right now. Not as good as you now. We have control over him for the next 5 years, though, and he could be better. The price is right. You know what? Screw you. Things work out in the end. There is justice in this world. Anyway, moving on. Eagles.
As I was saying,
sorry about that,
Andrew. We're going to talk a lot about the whole National Football League, but you know more about the Eagles than anybody at this table. So, you said that they had some interesting things happening recently.
Yeah, so I guess there's a little bit to unpack here. We'll start with Sunday. They signed Cody Kessler, quarterback. Well, he's
right.
Yeah,
he's backup.
I don't find him to be I think he's pretty awful, to be honest. But I find it kind of interesting because, you have Nate Sudfeld who backs up Carson Wentz, and Carson Wentz hasn't been exactly a clean bill of health throughout his career. Nate Sudfeld's always thrown 25 career passes, and you have Clayton Thorson, who's a rookie, hasn't thrown any passes, obviously. So Cody Kessler, he started 4 games last year for Jacksonville. He threw for 64.9% of it. He completed 64.9% of his passes. Career 83.7% QBR. He averaged 6.3 yards per pass. That's not great. His struggles with any passes past 10 to 15 yards. So he kind of is what he is. But I found it interesting that he has 12 starts under his belt. So he'll add some competition there. And then on Monday, they re-signed Stefan Wisniewski. So he brings that much needed veteran depth in there and he can also play center. So he started 24 games for the Eagles, including Super Bowl 52. And he started 101 games in his career, so he'll provide immediate depth behind Jason Kelce and probably start at right guard in week 1 if Brandon Brooks suffers a setback coming back from his torn Achilles. So that's a great value signing right there, at this point in free agency. You get Wiz back, so he'll add a lot of competition in camp at the guard and backup center position.
Yeah.
And then today, there was news that a rookie Johnny Gibson, he's a guard. He went to rookie minicamp as a tryout player, got signed today. They released Dorian Miller, who's a wide receiver. Johnny Gibson's a guy who walked on at Arkansas, started his last 2 seasons, and out of 1,950 snaps in college, he always surrendered 9 sacks. And, 1,012 of those were in pass pro. So he'll add something to the mix there at competition. And, it says a lot that there was 25 guys that tried out, and he was one of the guys that they reached out to, and they said, hey, why don't you come to the 90-man training camp roster? And they got rid of a guy who spent all last season on their practice squad, and Dorian Miller. So there's 3 moves that happened over the last 3 days.
Wow. See, and you just said all that without looking at a single piece of paper or his phone one time. Wow. Fantastic work, Andrew.
That's why he's the best.
Fantastic work. I'm really, really excited. Now that the Sixers are over and the Flyers aren't in the playoffs, of course, I'm ready. I'm ready for football. I mean, I'm excited for the Phillies. They seem to be doing
You're
a lot
already
better.
ready for football?
I'm ready for football.
I'm
Dude,
ready for football.
always ready for football.
I have bad news for you. Have you checked the calendar lately?
Got a while.
It's May.
I got a while. I do. I have a while. And we're going to talk plenty of Phillies because baseball season is the longest season ever, mostly because I'm just excited for football to come back. But I'm glad that the Phillies are good this year.
Well,
they seem to be doing better. First place.
I mean, you could look at it either way. The Phillies are 24-16 right now.
Yeah.
Really good. By the time you hear this, they'll be 24-17 because they're down 5-0 to the Brewers. Ryan Braun, all he does is kill the Phillies. It's insane. It's weird. I don't get it, but whatever.
He's like the modern version of Jeff Conine and Cody Ross.
Right. They shouldn't be good. anymore. I mean, Ryan Braun, as far as I know, he hasn't touched a steroid in years.
Right.
So, I mean, he's just not in his comfort zone that way, you know? But, I mean, the weird thing is the Phillies were 24-16 last year at this time.
Yeah.
So, you know.
They started really hot last year for no reason at all. Like, for no reason at all.
Right. So, and like, the pitching was phenomenal
Really
last
good.
year early on. So, it was smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
It was a weird thing going on. Now the talent's there. And I think we talked about this before. There's so much talent offensively that when certain guys are down, other guys are picking them up. So like right now, Cesar Hernandez coming into tonight's game in the month of May, 11 games, 500 on base percentage. He had a big home run last night.
Yeah.
Monday night to win the game, to help them win the game. And he's the kind of guy, you know, when he's down, when he's up, you know, currently Bryce Harper's in a slump. These are the kind of guys that are playing really well. Gene Segura is playing really well right now. So when you have that, it's not all about when they're all hitting on all cylinders. You need this depth for when some of the guys are in slumps. It's 162 games.
Right.
There's going to be insane slumps for a lot of guys. So, but it's just interesting that, you know, 24-16, you want to get excited if you're a Phillies fan, but last year, same deal, and you knew it wasn't real. So we'll see. People are getting a little, you know, nervous about Bryce Harper. Very long slump, but we'll see.
Yeah. I'm not
It's going to be an exciting summer. We're not even into summer yet. It's not even hot yet.
No, it's not.
So it's weird. Like, it's like, you know, a good bit into this season. I'm thinking like, what's that, 40 games? So let's do some math. What's that, like 1/5 of the year? 4, 8, 12, 6, 1/4? Good Lord. Like 1/4 of the way, and I don't feel like it's gotten started yet.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be exciting down the stretch for sure. I'm just not
but you can't wait for football.
I'm just not there yet.
I can't wait for football.
I'm just not there yet.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I have to basketball. I have to digest it, and this time it ran longer than you know, it has in the past, you know, few years for me this year. But I still watch the end of the NBA playoffs every year. I watch the finals every year. You know, so
Training camp will be here in July.
pretty much just wait for that to happen, and then it's full baseball mode, because baseball, like, it's an everyday thing, so I can just do it whenever I want to. I feel like just basketball, it's over, and football, it's just like, God damn it, I can't wait for football. As soon as football
Training
is over, I
camp,
can't wait
fantasy
for football.
football. I mean,
Yeah.
it'll all be here.
Now, do we have time to fill right now? Because I would like to go on a quick rant.
Uh-oh.
Just get this off my chest real quick.
Go for it.
We are out of time.
You know, along the lines of might be sports.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of talk about Game of Thrones, and
jeez.
it's all lame. I understand. Nobody wants to talk about it more than they have to,
I want to talk about it all the time.
and I feel like we have to a lot nowadays. It's like it's so there.
Dude.
Just real quick.
So Andrew Howard thinks.
Oh, it's perfect.
All right, so here's just a point I want to make.
It was good until he started talking about Game of Thrones.
So Game of Thrones, game is in the name. There is a sports aspect of this. Like, I think most people are ignoring that. The reason why everyone's so upset right now with how the show's going, like these characters are turning bad. This is sports. This is like the way sports works all the time. Your favorite player says, "You know what? Screw you, Cleveland. I'm taking my game to Long Beach." So it happens all the time. Heroes become villains. Villains become heroes. I mean, we hated Bryce Harper in Philadelphia last year. He's my niece and nephew's favorite players right now. And they probably have seen him play like a combined 2 minutes, but they feel the energy. They know Bryce Harper's this thing.
You think about, like, when KD went to the Warriors, he was vilified for an entire NBA season, and still today. That's a good point, Kevin.
And it turns on a dime. And everyone's so upset because it's just like people were actually naming their kids after like main characters in the show. And I love that they're paying for it now. Like, what's that? Daenerys or whatever, Khaleesi. There's people naming their kids Daenerys or Khaleesi. And now, they're crazy assholes who murdered innocent children on the show. Like,
spoiler alert.
yeah. Cool. You have to live with that now because you're an idiot and you didn't wait for the show to play out because you rooted for these people so hard. That's why I always say fans don't root for the players, they root for the teams.
Wow.
Players want so hard for, I thought you were loyal to me. Why you booing me? Because screw you, you're not the team. You're just a guy. We're a fan of you because you're wearing our team's colors right now. But if you suck, you're going to hear it because you're disrespecting our team by playing like shit. We want you to win. Period.
Who do you want to win the Game of Thrones? Just quick answer, rapid fire. This is a good segue into rapid fire. But like rapid fire right now, who do you want to win Game of Thrones?
I'm not great with the
Frodo.
names.
Captain Kirk.
Only two of us watch the show here, by the way.
Who cares?
Aaron Rodgers.
So I'm gonna.
There's a sports reference. He got killed in last week's episode. Did you know that, Kev? Did you know that, Reevy?
Well,
Aaron Rodgers was in Game of Thrones last weekend.
Taking that off the
He was
TMZ
just
rapid fire.
Was he actually in the show?
Yeah,
Yes.
he was. He made a cameo. He was one of the people in the town that just got blown up.
Did not know that.
Spoiler alert. I thought it was cool.
So I want
Jon Snow, right? It's going to be Jon Snow.
Yeah, but I listened to a podcast that made a good point. He by him just like standing back and letting this all take place, he's complicit. So it's like he is part of that. You can't reward that behavior. There's certain characters that like if there's going to be any what's the word I'm looking for? Like morality to this show. It can't be Khaleesi. It can't be Jon Snow. It can't be these people that have killed, innocent people.
It could be Jon Snow if he
been part of
redeems
it.
himself. He's got to redeem himself. That's what he's got to do.
Yeah, but he stood by and just let her kill people.
We'll talk.
That's not. I mean, you know what? You make a great point. I think you're on the Trump train right now. You can let all this stuff go.
CJ.
All these transgressions go as long as it's for the greater good. Good point. I reverse engineered you being a Trump guy.
Wow.
I'll order your MAGA hat right now.
Do it. CJ, rapid fire.
All right, here I'll segue into rapid fire.
Please.
Game of Thrones, Brand's odds fave to win it all, but he won't get you paid. So sports betting websites are now taking Games of Thrones.
Of
bets.
course they are. I thought they have been this whole time.
It will not be Brand because so they're going to give it to a guy that's just.
What else you got?
He's a paraplegic that can't move his eyeballs.
It's not going to happen.
You ever notice he never darts left or right.
Did you say that he's leading the bet? Like
Yeah, he's the favorite.
I just want someone to like clap loudly near him to see his like head turn. Does he? He just stares forward all the time.
It's not gonna
So
happen.
this isn't very rapid.
A little
Next.
concerning.
Next.
Judo fighter drops phone mid-match, disqualified.
He drops his phone mid-match?
Yeah, he had his phone in his, I don't know what the official term is for what they wear.
We
Their karate
jumped the
outfit.
shark as a society.
Dummy.
We jumped the shark.
Dummy.
Idiot.
Tiger Woods breaks silence on lawsuit. It was a terrible, terrible night.
What lawsuit?
Yeah, which lawsuit is this?
It's the one his girlfriend and him are getting sued for the bartender that overdrank and crashed and died at his bar.
At his place?
Yeah, at his bar,
Okay.
which the girlfriend and Tiger were not actually there.
I don't know what
It's I think it's the family just trying to get money.
Oh.
That's what it sounds
Yeah,
like.
when you're rich. I mean,
I guess
there was
that
a
stuff
Will
happens.
Smith video on this like a month or two ago where he said, yeah, I have like 3 guys I have on retainer all the time that handle my lawsuits that go on all the time. People sue me. He's like, I probably have 10 lawsuits against me right now. It's a disgusting way the world has turned. It's weird.
Dennis Rodman and crew returned to yoga store, allegedly stole again.
Say that one more time.
Yeah,
Dennis Rodman and crew returned to yoga store, allegedly stole again.
So you heard that Dennis Rodman and friend went to this store.
Friends, plural. There was a couple of them that were stealing.
Stole stuff. So Dennis Rodman's job was to, spark up a conversation with guys while his friends stole stuff.
Oh.
So they
Dennis
went back.
Rodman's the diversion. That makes sense. He
Yeah.
probably sticks out more than everybody there.
That's weird.
Conor McGregor, charges dropped in phone smashing case.
That's the one that happened in what, Florida or something?
Wait, what's this?
Yeah, well, the phone was put in McGregor's face, and they were trying to take photos.
Yeah,
and
he smashed
grabbed it.
somebody's phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
all
mean,
that was
since
dropped,
I've
that
been
means he
calling all
paid
these
somebody.
things weird, I'm going to call this one weird.
I wonder if he paid. I'm sure he must have paid the person.
Yeah, I'm sure he paid him.
Yeah.
A lot.
Redskins owner ponders life on $180 million super yacht.
That's quite a big yacht. What team?
Redskins.
Dan
Their
Snyder.
team
Dan
sucks.
Snyder,
Oh,
yeah.
Dan Snyder. He sucks.
Yeah, he should ponder this season.
Yeah, you should ponder a lot of things.
He should ponder, giving it up.
Just get out of there.
I still think, and
It
it's,
sucks ass.
I saw this on ESPN years ago. They should totally change the name of the team to the Redskin Potatoes. Instead, it gets rid of all that controversy. You don't have to change a damn thing. You change the logo to a potato and nothing else. The Redskins logo stays the same. You just remove the Native American with a potato. And then, ironically, I think like the Native Americans would be like, we kind of miss being represented a little bit. We got replaced with a fucking potato.
It's possible.
But that's just,
Oddly
Again-
enough, they had the best draft in the NFC East.
again, this world is weird.
James Harden rages with Little Pump and Smoke Perp after playoffs loss.
That's not, you're just putting words together. Just saying, oh,
Yeah, break that down for me.
yeah, he was partying.
James Harden was partying with two young rappers.
He was partying with Cheese Puff and Bike Pump. And yeah,
I'm not surprised. I would assume that after he's out of the playoffs, he's going to go do his thing.
we're running out of rap names.
They are. That's
Just
why they all
putting
suck
words
now.
together.
What else you got?
So, friend of network, Eric Bischoff, Silver King changed pro wrestling, didn't get enough credit.
I don't know.
I couldn't care less about pro wrestling.
I got nothing.
Boxer, Kerber. I'm not even going to attempt that last name.
But that's exactly why you have to attempt it. Do it. Go.
yeah, we're not attempting that.
Do it.
Must complete sexual harassment
I
course
will.
for kissing reporter.
He kissed a reporter?
He forcibly kissed a reporter after his fight.
Oh, no.
So he has to go to sexual harassment.
Say the name.
Polinsko.
Let me see. it.
It's gone. It's gone.
Oh, no.
You won't even
CJ.
let us try.
You're no
That's
fun.
it.
You're no fun.
He just took his ball and went home.
All right. So, very good, CJ. Thank you very much. Real quick, before we do go to the week, because we have a couple minutes. NBA draft lottery. What do you guys think about that? I think it's dumb.
I think it's great. I haven't heard a better alternative.
You're not
There's-
down with just like a normal
It should
draft?
just be normal, just like the NFL.
I'm cool with that too.
What would in your mind? What would be an issue with that? Like if you like the lottery, would you like the lottery more than that?
I think the lottery
You like the idea of the lottery? Like,
the lottery is great. You could do it just, as you finish doing that way, teams are still going to tank and they'll try to go for that number one pick. But the lottery, at least it's one more thing to watch on TV. And we're not watching it now because we're here. But I like watching it on TV. It's one more program you can have. The
Yeah.
NFL would love to have that. Are you kidding me? They split the NFL draft into like 3 days now.
Right.
Maybe
They
it's
do.
more. I'm not
It's
sure.
a whole weekend.
I love it.
It's a
But
whole
they
weekend.
do whatever they can to make a buck. They would love to have a lottery.
I don't know, man. They would have done it by now.
Be
I
one more
think
day.
it's-
One more day of something of the. Of
I
an
think
event. It'd be
it's
one
just
more event.
too hard. It's too big of a switch that they can't. That would be too big of a change
Yeah.
that they don't think they can pull off.
I think it's
Maybe.
much more uniform and organized the way that the NFL does it. It makes more sense.
I mean, obviously, it's the only league in major league sports that does what they do. I've just never liked it. I don't like
I think it's silly.
that Dikembe Mutombo knew who was getting it last year before it happened. I think that happened. Did that happen twice?
There's,
I mean, obviously, one team
but
has a better chance of
but
getting
that's
it.
why you're naming an obscure random guy like Dikembe Mutombo because it's always going to be somebody.
Right.
Everybody's commenting on it. Somebody's going to be right.
But you don't think it's just something else that can be fixed?
No, because I'm not a conspiracy theory guy, and especially like the NBA has done enough to say this is a secure process.
Right.
There's like Lloyd's of London, that's the wrong thing, but there are companies that are like their reputation is on the line to say this is done correctly. It's secure. It's just when there's a conspiracy, if there's more than one person involved, that's one person too many. It doesn't work.
I'm certainly not saying that there's conspiracy worthy things going on with it. I just think it's different, but I don't know if it's different in a good way to me.
I always say with the NFL, everybody says, "Oh, Goodell told the refs to call the game this way or that way."
Yeah,
that means that all the refs. So how many refs are in one game?
What was it, like
Football?
Entered 4, 5. All right, cool. So like 4 guys have an opportunity to say that Roger Goodell. Are you kidding me?
yeah.
You could go on the Today Show and make $1 million payday overnight saying
Yeah.
Roger Goodell told us to call the game this way. It would be earth shattering. It's impossible.
Right.
But people want to believe that they're cheated more than, just shit happens.
I just don't like the idea of it. I don't think there's a conspiracy. I just think it's silly.
Yeah, and I get that too. And I think maybe it should just I don't like the weird alternatives where like everybody has their even chance. Like no matter where you fall.
Nah, just like the worst team has
the worst team
has the top pick.
That makes sense. But I think you can't turn back that clock again because the NBA counts on this day to have the lottery on TV. It's one more thing.
It is
to
a big
keep,
deal. It is a big deal.
Publicized. I'm sure
Yeah.
it gets money or
It is.
whatever it is. It just,
For sure.
It's one more thing.
I don't know. It's silly. Anyway, here we go with Go to the Week.
Might Be Sports presents the greatest of all time.
Of the week. All right. My Go to the Week this week comes out of, I guess it's upstate New York, Mahopac High School. This girl, Shannon Becker, she's a sophomore pitcher. She struck out all 21 batters that she faced in a perfect game over Carmel High School last week. The story just popped up, and I think that's an incredible feat. Every batter you go up against, dunzo, strikeout. And there's a picture over here in front of all the signs for the strikeouts. That's sick. Fantastic.
And that's funny because you sent us this story over the weekend.
Yeah.
And I spent like 20 to 30 minutes, quote unquote, photoshopping the change to the Carmel High School team name or team like online website motto. And it's so dumb, but I'm laying in bed at the time just like, oh, this could be funny for like me and only me. The home of the Rams, respect academics, motivation, and poor hand-eye coordination for striking out 21 times. But if you could understand how much work I spent on my phone, photoshopping whatever the hell the last word was and changing it to poor hand-eye coordination, I think I did a pretty good job. I don't want to, pat myself on the back, but that's exactly what I'm doing. I don't know. I kind of feel bad for Carmel High School in this one.
Yo, me too.
It's a little embarrassing.
Tough. Shannon Becker, that 21 batters straight. I've never heard anything like that.
Nah.
I've heard of people having no-hitters and things like that, and I get that this is high school softball and it's not the pros or whatever, but no matter what level you're at, that's pure dominance.
It's a big...
That's a big deal.
Nobody bunt or it's a fairly large ball.
Yes.
I know it's challenging, but 21, holy
21 straight batters.
That's amazing.
Strikeouts. That's sick. What do you guys got?
I didn't initially have one, but at his exit interview yesterday, he leans in, and the last thing he says is, "I ain't no bitch." That's my guy, Mike Scott.
Mike Scott. I ain't no bitch. I love that.
Big Mike Scott fan.
I like that.
He's made a name for himself on the team.
Yeah.
If he resigns, I'm getting his jersey.
I like Mike Scott.
I'm putting that out there.
I don't love the idea of how comfortable we all are in Philadelphia with, re-signing Jimmy Butler because how great he just played. You got to take that kind of with like a grain of salt. Like, all right, don't be too emotional about signing a guy to a max contract for 5. Is it 5 years max now? I'm pretty sure. 5.
Yeah, it's 5.
5 years. I mean, good Lord, they made big mistakes in the past with, signing guys to max contracts and then doubled down, getting Chris Webber and a bunch of guys way past their prime, and they were in the tank for a decade. So you got to be weary about that. Mike Scott, just don't overspend for a guy like
You're not
going
to have to. He was a throw-in a trade.
Yeah.
I hope there's not like an emotional factor where they throw in a few more million and it's like, not necessary. Don't do that.
He's going to be he's going to be the Sixers' new bench energy because TJ probably won't be here next year.
Right.
They need that new guy. What do you got? What do you got, Reevy?
All right. So, you know the name of this show. It's called Might Be Sports.
Uh-oh.
This is not, there's nothing might be about this. This is a sport. This is my fourth favorite sport. Hockey comes in at a close number 5, but this is my fourth favorite sport. You know what? It's actually knocking on the door of basketball right now because the NBA is kind of lame right now. I'm not a big fan. Of course, we're talking about the game of Survivor on CBS. So they had an epic episode last week. Actually, 2 straight epic episodes, but we had too much to get into. We couldn't really get into the whole Survivor thing. So there's a superstar that's been coming out of these shows by the name of Rick Devens. And Rick Devens, once again, had his shining moment after... So 2 weeks ago, this guy pulls up. He's got 2 immunity idols. He's fooling guys. The super villain of the show, so confident, he knocks him out on his ass. That next week, everybody's thinking, well, Rick Devens, he doesn't have any more immunity idols. What is he going to do? He's got no chance. He finds another immunity idol, and he wins the immunity challenge. So he threatens to give it to his friend Julie, and they all wanted to vote out Rick or Julie. They don't know what to do now. Well, they can't vote out Rick because he's already got immunity. They're going to vote out his pal Julie. And now he's saying, if you vote out Julie, I'm giving her immunity. What are you going to do? So they all vote out their friend. And then he ends up not giving Julie immunity anyway. And he keeps the immunity idol for next week. And so he's the odds-on favorite to now win Survivor. And I understand, like, one person, maybe me when I listen to this tomorrow, understands what I'm talking about. But, oh man, Survivor's fire right now. You got to watch it. Coming down the stretch, there might be like 2-3 episodes left at most. And they always end on like a 2-hour finale and then like an after show. It's a great time. It's, get your popcorn ready kind of stuff.
There's commercials every minute and a half.
But you know what? If you haven't watched up to this point, don't. We don't want you. We don't need you. We don't want bandwagon fans. Oh, yeah. The way I just described the show and what's going on with Rick Devens running shit, you're excited. You want to watch. You know what? I don't want you to. Sit back. Wait for next season.
I want to see if this Rick Devens is all he's cracked up to be.
Rick Devens, he's the man. He's my goat of the week. And I'm rooting for him to win this season. I don't know. Survivor's crazy. It could go any way. We'll see what happens, but Rick Devens, he's my go to the week, and hopefully he's my go to the season. And I can't wait to touch on this subject next week and see what Rick has up his sleeve.
Fantastic job, everybody this week. It was good being back in the studio.
And don't forget to check out Survivor tonight and go to theacespader.com and order your copy of Incredible Baseball Stats and go on Amazon and order this day in Philadelphia Sports. And check out Andrew DeCecco at
The Eagles Wire.
The Eagles Wire. And CJ's awesome.
CJ's awesome. All new episode of Foundation Radio tomorrow, episode 0. Again, it's their last episode before their first episode with us. This is their kind of reunion show. Then we got a all new episode of Might Be Brews on Friday. Might Be News Network, mbnnetwork.com. It's never been easier for you to find your new favorite podcast. I'm Taylor Cooper. Great job this week, guys. See you guys next week.